Back to Yerushalmi Shekalim, we are holding at the Zayin of Aleph. Now, Masechet Nazi. So a Nazi collects money for his karbanos of purification, and he's bought what he's bought. He's got some money left over. So Lindaba, any extra money goes to the Beis Mikdash for Elas Kaisam Mizbeach, the extra karbanos. Now, that's all very well if it goes to Nadava. If the last carbon he brought was a chatas. So when he brought his oil and his shlamim, the money that's left is there for a chatas, demei chatas, and the extra money goes for Nadava. If he brought his shlamim at the end, then most of shlamim, the leftover money goes for shlamim. Once you brought your chatas and the oila, the money that left goes to shlamim because that's the last carbon he brought. Harav Zira said no. Even if shlamim is the last one, halacha achasi benazir is one din. That any extra money goes to Nadava. Masnisa b'sayla dain. We've got support to both views. Masnisa b'sayla of zira. Ela and my stubin. These are money which hasn't been specified for a nazir. If he dies before he's brought his animals, they go into Nadava. If there's chatas money mixed in those funds, they will set aside for karbanos, providing a chatas is one of them. And even if he went and separated the chatas from that money, right, and he separated that for chatas, it's still considered unspecified money. And if the nazir dies, he goes to Nadava. So the same thing in our Mishnah. You brought the shlamim last, the leftovers is Nadava. Like Zayir, because the halacha is with the nazir, the leftover money goes to Nadava. Masnizam Saila of Chista, we got Bryce's Buddha of Chista. He set aside general money for his karbanos, and he said, this money should be for my chatas, everything else for everything else. And he's left the rest for oil and shlamim, or maybe he dies, the chatas money goes to the Dead Sea, below then you can't get benefit, below Moses, no Isamila, it's going to be destroyed. The rest of the money, use half of it for oil, half of it for shlamim, and you bring on a dava. If you got any benefit from the rest of the money, there is an isamila. But if you only benefit from parts of it, there's no isamila. Why? So if you use all of it, you use oila money and shlamim money. So you're over meila. If you only use part of it, you're not ma'il, because there's no din meila except with kadshe Hashem, like the oila. But there's no meila with shlamim, which you can eat the flesh of the shlamim. The Tali didn't say she makes if the Nazi dies, Yiplu Nedava goes to Nedava, right? Because you've separated the Chatas, so the other money doesn't go to Nedava, you buy Ayla and you buy Shlamim. That's what you were saying over here. If you say like Rav Zeira, they always go to Nedava, then when the Nazi dies, the money should all be Demei Ayla. And we should say even if you get benefit for a pruta's worth, it should be Meila. Elamai, from here you see this opinion says no. We don't say it all becomes Nadava. Rav Chista Amar. Now there's another din. A Nazir has to bring 20 loaves. The Gemara says, what's the din of any leftover money for the loaves? Rav Chista Amar. You have to rot. You let it rot and become puzzle. Leftover bread, whatever. Rav Yosef Yos, and that's right. Right, allow it to rot. Because we never bring bread on his own. You're going to bring with other karbanos, you can't. You can't without bread. That's why most of you have to let it rot. So, but they wanted to say, who the same din, leftover bread, leftover wine. You get it to rot, so we'll send the wine. Most of the Sachov, the leftovers wine, the oil wine, the shlamim, the sachim, the yiplu nadava, they should be used for nadava because it goes to nadava. It's like kachim, like bachatas and asham. They all said one day that if you got kachim, even though it's not chatas and asham, it goes to nadava. Rav Chista, we've said over here. According to his view, the leftover of the Nesachim goes to a shofar of Nadava. Shmuel Da'amar Rav Yossi Adan Tamon, when I was in Babel, Shmuel is called Rav Yehuda Shal Shmuel. He asked Shmuel, his teacher, Hifrish Shekla, someone separates the shekel of mace and he dies, he's not giving it to the treasurer, what does we do? Amalei, he says, Yiplu Nadava, goes to Nadava. It's for Kabbalah Tzibur, it's called Shekachim. Rabbi Lazar also, the Yitzchok we've learned, the Kohen Gadol's leftover money from his mincha offering, and he's got extra. What does he do with it? Rabbi Yechon said, take it to the Dead Sea. Rabbi Lazar, goes to Nadava. It's because it's kachim, and therefore it goes the leftovers to Nadava. Ma'aser Shavuyim, halacha, money you collected for capture, for releasing captives, and you got leftover money. Lishvuyim should be guarded for that purpose for other people. Ma'aser Shavui, if you collected money for someone specific and you have leftover money, Ma'aser Shavui, you should give it for that person himself, for his purposes, his food, whatever. Ma'aser Aniyim, leftover money you collected for the poor, Aniyim, give it to the general poor. Ma'aser Ani, if you collected it for an individual, Ma'aser Ani, give it to that individual. Ma'aser HaMesim, money you collected for burial, and then you got leftover money. Guard it in the stock of HaMesim for future burials. Ma'aser HaMesim, it was collected for that person, Liyashov, send it to the heirs. Reb Meir, he said, Ma'aser HaMesim, the leftover money of that mace, wait till Eliyahu to decide what to do with it. Reb Nasalam, he said, Ma'aser HaMesim, if it's leftover money from mace, we'll build a monument on his grave, and that is covered for the mace. Yeah? Okay. This idea should be left till Eliyahu comes. So we do find, beginning of Moshe Mashiach, there will be Mechemes Gog and Magog. And before that, the Navi will come to get everyone to be straight. And he will answer all our questions in monetary matters. Yeah. The Mishnah Melech, Rabbi Akiva Eiger, is a Chacham who's got smicha from Moshe Rabbeinu, and he will teach Torah until he will teach everyone and give them seeking a halacha to paskin. He'll have a base in, they will iron out all the doubts. Okay. So the question is, what did the mace want? What would he have said if he was alive? Some say, look, he doesn't really want people collecting for him. Do things for other purposes. They did things, some say, yeah, do add things will cover that mace. And some say no. All right, let's carry on. I'll just bring here. All right. There's a question here. There's a tshuva in Minchas Yitzchok from a Gaon Rav Naftali Shukavitsky. He was the Rav in Gateshead. Based on a Gateshead. Someone deposited money for his friend for dowry for his daughter. And he put it in the bank with the name of the daughter. And the father is ill. The daughter's old. She's not going to get married. Can he take the money for her livelihood? Since the money was there for a dowry and now they want to use it for her livelihood. And Minchas Yitzchok brings Machlokes here in Yerushalmi where they claim for that poor person who doesn't need it, does he get it? Just like this idea, does he go to the heirs? Or only when it's a dead person that it goes to the heirs? If the daughter is poor and she needs the money, like the person deposited the money, it's not different to claiming it for that poor person, and maybe doesn't need it, whatever. Maybe the daughter is entitled to it. All right, let's carry on. Or building a monument on his grave. Nefesh al Kivai. Some say a dimus or something. So a matzeva. Yeah. Okay. Let's carry on. Why is it a monument is called a nefesh? Why is it called that? Because that's where the nefesh is resting. They bring from the Rizal the nefesh, the ruach, and the neshama. The nefesh, the lowest part of the soul, is what stays on the grave. Right? With the body. It's called matzeva. And nefash. Right? The expression of resting, of being at rest. Some say it's a name. write his name, a description of the person. Okay. Gavulai, if they collected money for a mace, thinking he hasn't got. The names of Sheshle turned out he did have. Rabbi Yirmiyah maybe wanted to say the money should go to those who inherit. Wait a minute. The people only give because they thought he needs it. Now he doesn't need it, it's a mistake. And you should give them everyone the money back. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, look, I didn't say I just said that's what I think. But you go against me. How do you know for sure to make a distinction? Rav Nassan said, if you got leftover money from a dead person, they build a monument. Tani, we've learned, the Shem Rav Nassan, they should build for him nefesh, like a tombstone, al kivra on his grave. They pour wine on his coffin to be a good smell at the time of the levaya. We do not redeem one captive with money that was collected for another one. We don't use money that was collected to buy one garment for a poor person to buy it for another poor person. But we do not object with the tzedakah treasurers who did this because they saw a need for it. We don't have to build these tombstones and monuments for the graves of the righteous. The Torah that said every day in the place of learning, that is their memory. Yeah, that is their memory. This, by the way, this idea, it seems there was a Chevra Elisha that used to pour on the limbs of the body wine with eggs mixed in. You hear that? They used to pour this. One Chevra Elisha, I don't know. And he said, don't change the minhag. The Chazam Sofer said, it's brought Yerushalmi. Maybe to remove the kochas adin, and the egg is remez to hashpah kochas of malchus. So the wine and the egg. So that it seems there is some sort of source for it. Okay, where are we? We are here. So ein oisin nafsho is divrei ein zechoidan. Yeah. Rabbi Yochanan having Samach Ba'azil, he was going and supporting himself on Rabbi Chiya Barabba. But Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Lazar is Talmud Rabbi Yochanan and Chamelem with Talmud Kameh. He hid away. He saw him and hid away. This Baghdadi guy, this Bavli, Rav Lazar, he's done two things wrong. He sees me and he runs away. He doesn't ask how I am. And he's hiding. Oh no, he says, that's what they have a minhag in Bavel. The younger ones don't ask ask how the older one is, right? Because of their fear. And why did he hide? And they fulfill the words, the lad saw me and they hid. The pasuk in Iyad. Now, Rabbi Yaakov already hears that Rabbi Yochanan is not happy with that result, that answer. He says, can a person go past? He just asked the Shaila to Rabbi Yochanan then. You go before an image of Avodah Zarah. Someone who goes before it, are you allowed to walk in front of it? It looks like you're giving it respect. He says, are you giving it respect by walking? Walk in front of it and then just close your eyes. And then it's not a problem. He says, that's right, what Reb Lazar did. He didn't go in front of you. Had he gone without asking you how you are, then it would look like he's mezalzel, not giving you respect. That's why he chose not to go past you. Right, Avid ha-babla. Another thing this Bavli did, which was wrong. When he went over his learning, he didn't say things in my name. They went in front of Rav Yochanan. And they didn't want him to be cross with Rav Lazar. And they said, Rebbe, this was the coppersmith's shul. And it happened in the shul, Benega, there was a bolt, which they put in the wall, in order to lock the door. It had some sort of handle on it to stick the second bolt in the hole in the wall. Basically, it was fitting for various jobs. You could use it for a mortar, a pestle to grind spices. There was an argument of Rav can you put it in the door on Shabbos or not? They tore a Sefer Torah in their anger. I don't think they tore it. And Sefer Torah happens to get torn without intention. There was one elder. He said, this basic Knesset will be a place of idol worship. And that's what happened in the end. He's connecting anger with Avodah Zarah. Anyone who gets angry, as if he's serving Avodah Zarah. Okay? Even the Shekhinah is not important in front of him. You're pushing away the Shekhinah. Meiri gets from this, although Ka'as is very bad all the time, but Talmud Chacham, especially Divrei Torah, Beguda B'Yosei looks even worse. And people have to give a din. On this. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this Chiddush, take Divrei Torah in his name, his lips are moving in the grave. Because this world we do the mitzvahs, we get the reward in next world. And after death, you can't go higher. Only what a person did when he's alive. But if the Talmidim say things in his name, then what? Then the keli that makes the noise is like the Kliyah Maser. It's like his own lips are speaking in the grave. It's like a new action. Even after he dies, he can go to a higher level. Yeah, that's the important thing of that. Okay. Now, Rami and Ravasi thought, talking about anger will calm down Rav Yochanan, but I'm afraid it didn't help. He says, I mean, what happened to this person? What happened? The Tanai and Rav Elazar they're arguing, they were chaverim, they shouldn't get cross one with the other. How can you compare that to my anger on Rav Elazar? Because I'm allowed to get angry with him. It says, and Yeshua did exactly what he was told. He taught all the Torah of Moshe. Do you think Yeshua always said, this is what Moshe said? No, he probably didn't say that. And Yeshua Yeshiv V'Doresh or Moshe, wherever Yeshiv V'Doresh, without mentioning Moshe, but Yadin Shatosh of Moshe, they all knew it was from Moshe. Afata, so you, Elazar, Tamilcha, Yeshiv V'Doresh, if Elazar gives a share, everyone knows that Yadin Shatosh Shalcha, that is your Torah. Amalan Rabbi Yochanan said, that is a nice answer. Why didn't you say a nice answer like that? Rabbi Yochanan, why is he so concerned? Say things in his name. Dovid even prayed for this. He says, I will stay in your tent. I love him forever. I will stay in your refuge. He's going to live forever. And the Kacham David is what Dovid said in B'nai Kodesh Baruch. My words should be said in my name after he dies, but he says in the place of learning. And that way, it will be as if he lives forever. So they discussed, the Panim Me'iris has got Trubah. Is it right, those who write Sfarim and hide their names from their books? Rav Yochanan was cross. They were not saying Allah in his name. I mean, why is there Kapeda to say Allah in his name? His lips should speak in the grave, but Hashem knows who the thing was said from. The reward won't be held back, so why is he so upset about it? So if you say we find case in Shas, you say that Allah in the name of one person is not accepted. When they said it in the name of someone else, great, say it was accepted. So if Yochanan was cross, if they don't say it in his name, the Talmidim won't accept it, and then it will get forgotten. Okay? And that's why sometimes they put their names in their books, despite their humility. Because people will find them, and their lips will be speaking in their grave. Okay. And the Rebbeinu Chidah says, now that we find from the time of the Goyim, people write their names, you should keep that. Okay. Let's carry on. Shimon ben Nazira, yeah? Shimon ben Nazira b'shem Rabbi Yitzchok. Actually, I just want to say a bit more from this piece here. He says, the dinim are halachas ledin. We have to know who the mechaber is. Can you rely on the person? Agada and tachacha, maybe it doesn't matter so much if you don't know who it is. But the Divrei Yal writes, definitely nowadays, even Agada, you have to say who it is. We need to know who is the person saying this, yeah? Okay. Okay. Shimon ben Azir of Shem Rav Yitzchok. If they say something in his name in this world, his lips will move. In the grave. Shemar says Dovid Siftei Yishenim. So that we're comparing the Chachamim to wine. Just like Divrei Torah is Kekoma Shel Anavim is a vessel where they put the grapes at the beginning of their process. You put your finger on it, Miyad Dovid, the juice starts coming out. The lips is the righteous, their lips will speak in the grave. And that's why Yochanan was so cross. Right. Now, why does the person who's dead, what benefit does he have that his lips are speaking in the grave? Someone who drinks, konditin is like a wine mixed with honey and peppers. It's like drinking old wine. And even after you finish drinking the wine, the taste stays in one's mouth. So some Chacham who dies, and they say something from him in this world, so because his lips are still speaking in the grave, the Neshama Gan Eden feels a resemblance of Chaya Olam Hazeh. So someone to learn that this word, of course, is the word of Asiyah. The next word is the word of payment, right, of reward. There you get benefit from this world. We can't, as we said, we can't add on more. But now they're learning, saying things in his mouth, as we said, then his Torah is coming even after he dies. Okay. Let's carry on. Okay. Right. Rav Gidol Lama, he says, I'm a Dovid Shem Amra. One who says something in the name of those who was said, Yireh, he should appear as if he should see. As if the one he's quoting is standing in front of him. Shnever says, with the form of the person goes. So another drasha, Rav Adam Yikra Ish Chasta. A person, a great person, he would read or call the name of his teacher like Ish Chasta. That's Zeh Shakal Adam. This talks about other people. And the Ish Emunim Miyimsa, man with trust, who do you find? Zeh Rabbi Zeira. It means that what Rabbi Zeira said. Okay. Dama Rav Zeira said, Lisnan Tzrichin Chashashin Ishmaited Rav Sheshes. We don't have to worry on what Rav Sheshes said. Duhu Gabram B'Fatchana, he was blind. And he never saw his teachers at the time of his learning. So he cannot have in mind their Shmuas properly. They can't really say things properly because he was blind. And we bring other examples where Rav Zeira was cross on about the importance of seeing the Rav when you learn. Do you think Rabbi saw Bapatai? You're saying something in his name? You never saw him. How can you say things in his name? Ravasi said to him, Rabbi Yochanan, my teacher, he was very careful. I said it in his name. Or he said it in the name of Bapatai, and I heard him say it. Rav, did you know Rav? You Ravasi, did you know Rav? You say things in his name. He said, he said in his name. Okay. Now, we have a drush in Tehillim, Dovid HaMelech's request, right? Things should be said in his name after he dies. Now, we have another pasuk in Tehillim. There's no generation which doesn't have the jesters. These light-hearted people, what were they saying? They said, oh, you've still not built the Beis HaMikdash. What are you waiting for? They go to David's window. Zayman says, David, ever say when are you building the temple? When are we going to go in? They come and try and annoy me. The bad will. He was happy with their words. He was prepared to die before his time in order that the Beis HaMikdash would be built. As it says, and I'm happy when I'm going into the house of Hashem. Yeah. It says when his days will be full and he'll die, and then his son Shlomo will build the house. So I'm giving you full years. I'm not lacking years. So you got 70 years. Really build the Beis HaMikdash. Why do I need it? Ela lahakriv kavanas simba, just for a few kavanas. Chaviv alai tzedakah mishpat shata. So the justice that you do is more important. Yosim and Hakav more than sacrifice. She never says tzedakah mishpat nivchal Hashem mizamach. It's more important what you do than the kavanas that Shlomo Melech is going to bring. You remember in Bavli you've got Kitayv Yom Bas Chatzarecha Me Aleph. That's Tehillim 84. One day that you're learning Torah is more better than 1,000 offerings that Shlomo Melech will bring. Okay? Alright. Hadron Alach, Mitzvah Shekalim. Okay, move on a bit. Shloisha Praki Bashana. Now we brought about the collecting all the money, and the money is brought into a room, and 3 times a year we would take out this money and put it into 3 boxes, and for the sake of buying the korbanos. And this hafrosha was called Trumas Halishka, separating the money. So when was this done? Shloisha Praki Bashana Tovis Halishka. So 3 times in the year we take out this money. Praisat Pesach, which is 2 weeks before Pesach, and which is last day in Adar. Praisat Tzeres, which is 2 weeks before Shavuos, and Praisat Chag, 2 weeks before Sukkot. Now it doesn't mean Rosh Hashanah; it means the day before that. Hey, and these times are Grona Shemasa Beima. These are also the times when you decide have you got 10 animals to separate a 10th one, and then you can't just sell it; you have to shecht it and whatever. With all the animals that are born from that year, they have to put together for Maaseh Behema. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Ben Azai said the 3 types of Maaseh Behema are Esim B'Tisha B'Adar, 29th of Adar, Echad B'Sivan, 1st of Sivan, Esim B'Tisha B'Av, 29th of Av. Rabbi Lezer of Shimon Ibrim, they said B'Echad B'Nisan, B'Echad B'Sivan, B'Esim B'Tisha B'Elul. These are the 3 days. But Lama Rambam B'Esim B'Tisha B'Elul. Why 29th of Av? Why not 1st of Tishri? You can't do any Yom Tov. You can't take Maaseh on Yom Tov. They made it earlier to 29th of Elul. Shloisha Prakim Bashana, 3 times a year. Whenever we learn the word parais, it means palga, it means half. Right? It's half a month before these dates. Yep. And also the word pras, it means palga, half of 30 days, before the festival. And these are the Maaseh Behema collection dates as well. Why are they called for Maaseh Behema? Why these times? These are seasons of birth, close to the 3 times of birth in the year when the sheep are born. We want to make sure that there will be animals available for all the regalim. Rav Yudin said, these 3 times, you shouldn't delay the issue of bringing your korbanos too late. Person who leaves his animals in a state of tevel, he doesn't take masa, but he's meant to, either he transgresses rabbinical issur. Now, we spoke about the time for Maaseh Behema. Is it end of Elul or end of Av? Now, what is the Rosh Hashanah for Maaseh Behema? So Taman Tabir, we learned in Bechor, Rav Meir makes it Echad Elul is Rosh Hashanah for Maaseh Behema. So that's the cutoff point for the new year, right? 1st of Elul. Whereas with Shimon, they said no. It's for Echad Tishri. It's 1st of Tishri. Ben Azai, he said Elulim is Ashim for the husband. He said Elulim are all in their own right. All the Eluls have to go together. Don't mix them with Tishri. All the new ones, don't mix them with older ones. Elul should be on their own. Oh, Rav Chana, Talmud Rav Meir. So Rav Meir said 1st of Elul. Because until this time, they're still being born from like the period before Nisan. They're like last year's animals. So 1st of Elul is a new cutoff point. Mikan ve'elach after 1st of Elul, they're coming from the new year. Rabbi Yosef ben Shem Rav Chana, he says, Talmud Rav Shimon, who hold 1st of Tishri, they quote a pasuk, Lo shecharim hatzayin, the sheep are like wearing flesh, in other words, they become pregnant. Elu habakiros, these are the ones that ripen early and give birth early in Adar, before Nisan, and they give birth in Av, which is before Elul. Amakim yatafu ba, elu hafelis, these are the later ones, that they become pregnant when the sowing is already noticeable in Nisan, and they give birth in Elul. Yitzra'u af yashiru, elu elu nehosin l'delis, they can come together in the same group for Maaseh. Right? That's the view of Rav Meir. We have Rav Lezer of Shimon. We bring a brisa. Amar ben Azai. Look, these say, look, the year starts 1st of Elul. And and these say the year starts 1st of Tishri. Let the Elul ones be on their own. Okay, so how do you work this out? 5 born in Av, 5 in Elul. and Chamish b'Tishri, and 5 in Tishri. Ein Mistafin. They don't join together, right? The ones in Elul don't join with the ones in Av, and they don't join with the ones in Tishri. Because we don't know, is it Rosh Hashanah Master Behema first of Elul, first of Tishri? So the ones in Elul don't join up with the next lot. No, do like Chamisha b'Tishri. If you have 5 in Tishri, Chamisha ba'Av of the following year, 5 in Tishri and 5 of the following Av, they join up. Re'enu Mistafin. Ben Azar Machriah Divrei Chachamida. Ben Azar can decide between Rav Meir and Rav Shimon what the psak should be. Rav Yirmiyah, Rav Yashiv, Shem Shmuel, Rav Yitzchok. He said Ben Azar was machmeh, who is an old argument. The earlier generations had argued. Who were they? So Rav Yanuk and Rav Yirmiyah. He said in front of Rav Yirmiyah, it's Rav Yishmael and Rav Akiva. There was an old argument already. So then, what's Ben Azai connection to Rabbi Akiva? There's a marriage to Ben Azai, Chavev Tamidai Rabbi Akiva. He was a friend and a disciple to Rabbi Akiva. Right? In Tema Rabbi, if you're going to tell me he was his teacher, it's Banash Amar Rabbi, you never speak to your teacher. Oh, they say this and they say that. You don't speak about your teacher like that. Oh, right? Even if it was, you wouldn't say, oh, my teacher says this. If he wasn't your friend, you would never say it. Now, what's the source that Ben Azai was a Talmud and a Chavet of Akiva? Rabbi Abba, Shem Shmuel, Rabbi Yitzchok, Shomer, Ben Hadi, from the following Abba, Ben Azai, Al Chalukin on Mistarid. He said to Ben Azai, Rabbi Akiva, on some of the things we're already arguing. Shem Azai Lachak Alei Hashem. You want to go even further? So he says here, that's the Mishnah which talks about Yerusha. There's an argument Beisham Beis Hillel, and there's a third case where there's no argument. The Mishnah brings Rabbi Akiva that even in the third case there's an argument there. And the last bit, the Mishnah brings the Taina Ben Azai against Rabbi Akiva. It says on the earlier ones we're already sad that Beis Shammai didn't agree in Beis Hillel in the earlier cases. And now you're adding more that they're arguing even in the third case when your friend said that they don't argue. So that's what he was telling him. So in Tema Rabbi, if you're going to tell him Rabbi Akiva was the teacher, then Hispanash Amar, who do you speak to your teacher like that? As Shabbos and Lachal, then you want to come and argue again. So he would never, so it must be he was a chaver as well. Yeah, he was obviously a friend and a scholar. A talmid and a chaver. Okay. Yeah. They bring here Pras Palga. Pras is like 30 days before the Moed. We learn the halachas, right? In Bavli it says between Pesach and Sukkot, 30 days before. Pesach is many halachas 30 days before. Sukkot and Shavuos. Now Sukkot it says also 30 days is Lishma. Shalim V'Doshim 30 days. So it seems this applies to Sukkot as well. Other festivals. It seems you do the halachas even 30 days before other festivals. So Rav Taveli Shif. Rav Taveli Shif was an Ab based in any office? He was an Ab based in London. Yeah, Rav Taveli Shif. I think 19th century. He asked the Beis Yosef, it says in the Medrash, it says before Shavuos and Sukkot, they also learned Darshin. Parois. So it seems, is it 30 days even before the others as well? Maybe Sukkot and Shavuos as well. Okay, brings the Magen Avram. Okay. I think, let's see. Halacha Beis. Can we carry on then? 1 second. Okay. Taman Tanina, is that where we are? Karl Havod Noiladin, Be'achad B'Tishri, I was born till Rosh Hashanah, Ad Esrim B'Tisha B'Elul till 29th of Elul, Ha'elim B'Saf, and they all join up. Chamish andIvnei Rosh Hashanah, Chamish Alachar Rosh Hashanah, 5 before and 5 after, they don't join up. Aim B'Saf. Chamish andIvnei Agov and Chamish Alachar Go, and 5 born before the time when they have their children. We said there were 3 seasons in the year. And 5 after, in the same year, Ha'elim B'Saf, and they do join up. Oh, Rabbi Yossi, so Masechet tells me when they fitted the times of Rosh Hashanah for Masa Behema, they didn't treat it like a growth of a budding, and with Masa Peres. But like a shlish, we didn't treat it like a third growth, which you find with olives and grain. We treat it on the birth. In Temek if you're going to tell me that they treated it like a stage in the budding process, which you have with fruit, then listening, we should have said, Kalamu Barin, were they pregnant? Be'achad B'Tishri till Esrim B'Tisha B'Elul. It depends on the pregnancy. In Temek Shlish, you're going to treat it like a third growth, which we find with olives and grain. Instead, should say Kol Naladin, all those that have been born Ad Esrim B'Shnayim until like Elul, until like the 22nd it says that the Mishnah is talking about the year that they are born, from 1st of Tishri till 29th of Elul. Right? The midah depends on, it's not the same as Masa Peres and Dogon on the third growth. No, it's a proper birth that depends. Rav Shammai here says it could be Mishlisha, so no, it could be they treated it like a third growth, which we find with olives and so on, with grain. Now, we said the animals that were born to the 29th of Elul, belonged to last year, is like Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon Amar, he says, Mechusas man, an animal that is still premature, younger than 8 days, it can still go with the other animals for that year. So that's why even if it's born 29th, it's still Mechusas man, but he held it can grow into that mixture for kabbalas. But Rav Mona was not happy with this. When he heard the time of Rav Shammai, come Rav Mona and Rav Shammai, he said, Amalei, he said to Rav Shammai, Ata Amrat Adam, so you're saying this? Amalei says, yes, that's what I said. Amalei said, V'etanina ben Azai, me'elonim, his husband and husband. He says, those born in Elul have to be in their own. Lie. Now, this doesn't even include, I feel no, those born all the way up to 29th of Elul. According to you, even those born in Elul, belong to Elul, because Ben Azai holds Mechusas man, they can still go in the deer to have Masa Behema. So they're considered complete, as if they've grown a third. But Islach Meima, can you honestly say that Ben Azai is used as Rav Shimon, and not like Rabbanan here? Is it like Rav Shimon, not like Chachamim? Now, what is this? Yeah, he wants to say animals that Mechusas man can't really go to have Masa. How can you put them in a deer for Masa when they're still too young? Right? They might belong to the year they're born, but the time of birth is what depends it. But we don't treat it like a third, like grain and so on. Like, Rabbi Yosef wanted to say, it's nothing to do with grain. They might be able to be in Masa Behema, but you can't bring it as a carbon. So, you know what? I'm going to go back on this because I need to look over it again. Okay? We'll do this last bit again next time. Shkoyach, have a nice time.